I'm Udayan Tandon. I'm a PhD student at UCSD. I'm also unit chair of UAW 2865.
And your members apparently were arrested for felonies, for chalking, and you said you yourself were concerned about those kind of actions threatening international students.
Yeah, I mean, any coworker getting arrested for speaking up or exercising their First Amendment rights is egregious, but it's even more scary for international workers that are in this precarious position with their visas. They've been speaking up for their own rights. They've been fighting for a better workplace, more protection, more pay, and this just sends a chilling effect on union activity on campus.
And the use of the police to arrest people in their homes, what's the purpose of that? Do you think they're trying to terrorize the workers?
I mean, I think that's definitely that element, given that they use university police to arrest workers on felony charges for chalking. I mean, that's completely absurd. As Mike was mentioning, we've been chalking on campus on concrete in all our actions, and there has never been this sort of escalation. And so right now that we've been putting pressure on them to fix the wage theft issues, they're retaliating very severely so that they really punch us down.
Now, do you think the chancellor should be fired for allowing this kind of terrorism against union members?
I mean, I don't think it's my place to say anything about that, but I definitely think that the university should be held accountable for these sorts of actions. There should definitely be some sort of repercussions for just being able to send police on workers for speaking up. That to me is completely absurd.
And the university is spending apparently millions of dollars in their human resources in fighting the union. There are many unfair labor practices. Isn't this a waste of money and also an attack on the people of California who want the resources being used for education, for the students, for living wages?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think this is a very irresponsible use of public resources, valuable public resources that are allocated for delivering excellent public education and research are being used to attack the very workers who are doing it. And instead of working on actually fixing the core issue, which is wage theft, which is workers for whom those hundreds of dollars more a month would be the difference between being able to afford rent, being able to travel home whenever they want, being able to put food on the table. They're instead using resources to attack them.
And Governor Newsom is on the Board of Regents, the Lieutenant Governor, Tony Thurmond. Have you heard from them? Because it's a statewide issue, flagrant union busting by the University of California. Where are they? Have they spoken out about this?
I haven't heard personally anything from them, but
you think that they should speak out against it?
And that was our urge when we went in there today to speak up against this retaliation, is to urge them to stop wasting resources on retaliation and work on actually implementing the issues. President Drake has gone up in front of the California Senate and said multiple times that they have the resources to implement our contracts. And yet this kind of contract violations they're letting it happen. They're letting wage theft run rampant in the UC system.
Sounds like it's out of control.
It is hundreds of workers, thousands of workers not getting the university owing them up to more than $4,000 for the past 6 months. That's the
wage theft. Isn't that a crime in California?
Mm-hmm.
Have you filed criminal charges with the district attorney against these officials for not basically enforcing your contract and your law? I mean, wage theft is a crime in California. Why aren't they being prosecuted?
So we have filed charges against committing wage theft.
Against who?
So against the university.
The chancellor or who? I mean the Human Resource Department, and who's responsible?
So as far as I understand, labor relations is responsible, but I can get you the exact information on this again.
I understand the director of labor relations has a history of working for law firms that break unions. Is the union going to do anything about this? Because it seems like for the people of California, to have a University of California that's spending a lot of money, millions, on police, on violating labor law. I mean, it seems like it's really, they need to be held accountable.
Yeah, and I think ultimately our power lies in us standing together, right? And that's what we're doing here today, and that's what we're like continuing to discuss strategy on. That our power ultimately lies in our labor, in being able to stand together against our employer. And so we're considering all options on the table that are available to us on how to fix this situation.
And Lorena Gonzalez is the head of the California Federation of Labor. Has she spoken out and demanded that the governor stop this kind of union busting at the University of California?
I don't recall off the top of my head if she herself has personally spoken out, but she has generally been supportive of us.
I mean, it's an issue for all of workers in California. If they can get away with this, arresting people who are exercising their democratic right, labor right,
Exactly.
It's a real threat.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
My name's Connor. I'm a graduate worker at UC Berkeley in the chemistry department. And I'm out with my own local, UAW 2865, as well as Unite Here, Local 11, I believe, and UAW 5810, which represents postdoctoral workers at the UC. And we're here to rally in support of workers at UC San Diego who were arrested by the UC on felony vandalism and conspiracy to commit a crime charges for the alleged crime of drawing in sidewalk chalk on the wall of a concrete building, which was washed off by the next day. It's a clear attempt by the UC to suppress organizing on that campus and across the state. They were protesting not getting raises that the UC agreed to when we settled our contracts last fall, that many workers at UC San Diego and elsewhere have not yet received. I believe the folks who were arrested at those protests are out about $3,000, which for many folks is more than 1 month full pay. It's pretty remarkable that the UC, instead of in good faith implementing the contract that they agreed to with our locals, is instead trying to suppress organizing by using their private police force to come and arrest folks. But we're not going to let them do it. We're out here, as all the Northern California campuses, to support the folks in SoCal and to support our coworkers across the system who are facing this type of retaliation from a boss that clearly doesn't want to honor the contracts that they signed on to.
And you have Governor Newsom, who's on the Board of Regents, Lieutenant Governor. What are these politicians saying about this union busting? It seems like they're spending a lot of money on police, on harassing and fighting the union, violating union rights. What does that say about the management of the university and the Regents?
I mean, frankly, I think it indicates that they don't necessarily value the people who are putting in the work to make the system run. We do a tremendous amount of teaching for the university. We do a tremendous amount of research. I'm a chemist. I work on battery technologies. What Gavin Newsom and many other folks have said is really important, but instead of doing that work right now, I'm out here fighting to protect my coworkers from being taken to jail.
You think they should be spending all the money that they spend on the police? Seems like there's a massive police force at the University of California.
Yeah, I think that for sure the amount of money that is being spent on the UCPD is out of proportion with the amount of money that is being spent to support the core function of the university, which is education, and seeing the private police force, essentially, of our employer being used to suppress union organizing.
Arresting them at their homes?
That's correct. These workers were at an action. They drew in chalk on the side of this building, or allegedly drew in chalk on the side of this building, and then about a week later, UCPD police showed up at their homes, arrested them on these felony charges, took them to jail overnight, and they were arraigned last week. The UC has not actually provided evidence for that trial, so no official charges have been filed with the DA yet, but it's still quite possible the UC, once they see any media attention go away, could still file those charges, and so those workers are still in jeopardy.
You think this is intimidation? They're trying to shut people down by intimidating them through these arrests?
Absolutely. I think that this is the UC trying to see if it can get away with threatening people who are organizing for better conditions on their campuses, in their workplaces, to stop doing that because they don't want to pay us the money that we're owed.
I'm Gabe Klassen. I'm a worker at UC Berkeley, and we're out here today because last year, UC workers all across the state went on strike and won the best new contracts in higher education. But since then, UC has been waging a campaign to undermine those contracts. And specifically in San Diego, student workers were arrested for allegedly chalking messages on the side of a building, like
For felonies.
yes, felony charges of vandalism and alleged conspiracy to commit a crime, and we just think these charges are egregious, but they're also part of a larger pattern of retaliation across the UC system for UC workers standing up and just asking for what's been guaranteed. So we're out here today at UCSF at the Regents meeting to show UC that we won't stand for this retaliation, and we will fight for nothing less than the total and complete implementation of our contracts.
And how are they trying to, you say, bust the union or union busting tactics? What does that exactly mean?
Yeah, so there are, of course, the events in San Diego with the arrests. There are also student misconduct charges in San Diego relating to another peaceful protest.
How many charges are those?
I'm not 100% sure about the exact number. There were dozens of students and student workers charged, many of them not even at the student protest there. But even all across the state, there has been retaliation. For example, workers receiving unsatisfactory grades for work that they did not complete because of the protected strike activity.
And the university is spending apparently millions of dollars on lawyers to prosecute and fight the unions. What do you think about that whole idea of the money that's being spent by the university on lawyers fighting the union?
I think the university should invest in instruction and research instead of arresting instructors and researchers.
And the use of the police, do you have any concerns about that? I understand these people were arrested at their homes.
It's deeply concerning that UCPD is being weaponized in this way to infringe on the protected free speech rights and union rights of members and workers all across the state.
1, 2, 3, 4. We won't take it anymore. 5, 6, 7, 8. UC can't intimidate.
Ada Briceno, Co-president of Unite Here Local 11. Well, we have been for a long time trying to ensure that black workers get back into the hotel industry. And so we have negotiated specific language in our contracts to do that. And despite that, it's been very difficult to make sure that the hotels hire. And so the Laguna Cliff in particular did not have black workers, or maybe one black worker in a long period of time. And then when the strike came, they found 7 black workers to come. So they're not good enough, right, to get pension and health benefits and a contract, but they're good enough to have those temporary jobs that keep, to break our strike. And so we're pushing back and we're saying, that they have to hire permanently the black workers that they used, to break the strike.
They did that at the St. Francis in San Francisco. When St. Francis workers went on strike, they brought in black workers to same. Is this systemic racism?
It is. It's horrible. And we've taken this on in the last 15 years to try to change that throughout our union. I'm very proud of our union trying to do that. And we're successful in a very small percentage or portion, and now it's time to continue to push the issue. We have a proposal in our contract to ensure that we maximize the hiring and that we put pressure on the companies or more robust language to help us hire black workers into the industry.
And the Board of Regents have on it the Governor Newsom, Lieutenant Governor Tony Thurmond, are all on the Board of Regents. Have any of them spoken up about this blatant union busting and at your hotels? And also,
we've been in talk with the Lieutenant governor's office and many other politicians.
Why the silence? Why the silence?
You know, I think they have an opportunity to stand up to that. I believe the lieutenant governor has already signed letters and has been, you know, in contact with the regents.
What about Governor Newsom? Where is he?
We need to reach out to him still to make sure that he's helping us.
Does he know about it?
I'm not sure if he knows about it just yet. It's obviously we've been in a very difficult situation with striking 33 hotels, so we're slow in getting to folks.
Mike Miller. Yeah, the UC administration seems to believe that it's acceptable for them to try to intimidate working people, their employees, for standing up and protesting the university's violation of their rights. They're trying to do this through all different types of intimidation, student conduct charges, trying to arrest people, breaking into their homes and conducting what we believe to be unlawful searches and seizures of their personal property. It's outrageous, and we're not going to be intimidated, and we're not going to stand for it. And the 1.5 million active and retired United Auto Workers aren't going to stand for it. No one in the labor movement's going to stand for it.
Why are they doing this? It seems like it's against the law that what they're doing. I mean, charging people with felonies for chalking.
What do we do?
I mean, you'd have to ask them why they're doing it. I can only guess that they're doing it to try to intimidate us, and we're here to tell them it's not going to work. And we're also here to put the public officials on notice who are helping them do this, the DA in San Diego, and anyone else who's helping the University of California try to intimidate working people for exercising their rights. That's not acceptable, and we will hold you accountable for that.
And where is Governor Newsom, Lieutenant Governor? They're on the Board of Regents.
What do we want?
They're inside right now. We'll see what they say.
You think they should stand up against it? You think this chancellor should be fired?
Obviously, they should stand up against it. We'll see what they're made of.
The Human Resources Department here at UC spends a lot of money on lawyers fighting the unions.
When do we want?
You think that's proper?
What do we want?
No, it's an affront to taxpayers in the state of California that our hard-earned tax dollars are being spent on this kind of nonsense. And it's an affront to all the students who pay tuition and fees at the University of California that their tuition and fees are being spent on this. It's unacceptable.
I mean, you're struggling to survive a lot of the graduate students, doctorate students. Why don't they care about your conditions, your living conditions, since you produce for the university?
They want to keep control of the working conditions. You know, they have a sense of benevolence, of paternalism, where they want to improve people's working conditions because they think it's the right thing to do, and they want to do it in the way they want to do it. We're here to say we want to bargain collectively over those things. We want to democratize the university so that the decisions about how the resources are distributed are done democratically with input as equals from the workers.